All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm really excited because we have Jade. I, I almost, for a second, I was like, oh, wait, no, last name change. Jane, oh my goodness, I need to slow down a minute. I was like thinking about the dog and I need to be present, Jade. So I am excited because we have Jade Corley. Do you go by Jade Corley officially now, or is it like a three-namer?
Yes, I don't know about y'all, but Wimpy is kind of a terrible last name. So I'm going to nix that as soon as possible. Definitely going with a name change.
Great. All right. So we have Jade Corley here. Jade actually, and I did not realize this until I was reading your bio, and I'm like, oh, wow. You started working with Tableau in 2017, and mainly in finance and operations. And now you work at Analytic Vision, where we've had a couple of co-presenters or presenters from Analytic Vision. And you work across multiple industries in that role. But the thing I'm excited about today is that you're talking about how to engage your audience with Tableau and Miro, which I'm a Miro newbie. So I am definitely going to pay attention in this session. So Jade, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you for the really sweet and fun intro. There have been some super awesome sessions today, so glad to just keep on going. I know it's close. If you're on the East Coast like me, it's close to the end of the workday. So whether you're on your lunch break or about to head off, maybe just grab a drink and have fun, and we'll talk Tableau and Miro. So everyone here knows Tableau, I'm assuming. We use that all the time. That's what I do for my job at Analytic Vision. I'm a solutions architect, but mostly data viz. And so I've been building dashboards in Tableau, but we use this tool called Miro, and I feel like it really elevated my process and engagement and design when it came to building Tableau dashboards, especially in a virtual world, because we are fully remote. We don't have an office, and when we engage with our clients in consulting, it's typically remote. So I'll just dig through process and kind of explain what Miro is and how I use it. We'll go through how I use Miro to help me with my Tableau discovery, data source modeling, wireframing, client feedback, project management, and documentation. And this is something that I was introduced to, like kind of this process and using Miro in these ways through Analytic Vision. And so several of my teammates use it for this, and it seems to be really, really helpful. We use Miro almost every day. So Tableau and Miro, everybody kind of knows what Tableau is. We use Tableau for visual analytics to solve our data problems and answer questions. But what is Miro? If you're not familiar, Miro is an online collaborative whiteboarding tool. So similar to Tableau, you start out with a blank canvas, but you really get to create and mind map. And from there, it's similar to a Google Doc where multiple people can come in and work on a board at the same time and make changes and give feedback and comment and different things. So I'll do a quick Miro walkthrough. Let me go into full screen. There we go. So like I said, Miro is a canvas. And so here, anywhere in the white space, you can drag in different shapes, text, sticky notes, and a bunch of other really cool things. You can draw lines and have a table, but I'll kind of just give a quick overview. So we have the main menu board over here where you can change your board settings. You can export and create alerts and search with things that are in the board. Here you have more interactivity where you can go into presentation mode. You can set up a voting system, take notes. And then this is collaboration. So when more people are in here, you can usually see their cursors moving around. You can react, see who's in the board, just me right now. And then this is where you can share. This is your navigation down at the bottom where you can zoom in and out, but I usually just use the scroll on my mouse to do that. And then over here, this little icon is going to open up your frames, where I've created different frames to kind of help me walk through this like a presentation. You could do this without frames, but that's just how I stay organized. You can add comments or see where other people have left you comments. And then the fun part is your toolbar over here, where you can totally customize it, move things around, add different apps. It's endless, and they're only adding more. So when you zoom out, this is my entire canvas right now. It allows you to see big picture, maybe what's going on, and then drill down into different details. I usually create frames based on meetings that I've had with clients, and create a new frame for each meeting, but however you want to organize it, depending on your style. So why is Miro helpful for Tableau? Well, have any of you ever experienced struggles when you're building a dashboard from beginning to end with your company clients, especially virtually? Maybe something like having status updates disjointed across, really long email threads. Or maybe you're so in the weeds with your dashboard, you've kind of forgot who your intended audience is. Like, wait a minute, what did we say a couple months ago that this was even for? Maybe you need help with overall project management, or maybe you've lost your dashboard. People are losing dashboard links because they're sent email. Or maybe as the analyst, something I struggle with, it's like, I have trouble keeping up with, I can spell, guys. So maybe I've already developed a dashboard and now I'm trying to get feedback from the end users to see what they like or what needs to be tweaked. Sometimes I have trouble keeping up with that in email. So Miro is a great tool to do this. So I'll walk through all these examples. To do this, let's put ourselves in a consultant's shoes. Say we have a project and a worldwide company would like you to help them visualize their global lease agreements to better understand their current locations. So where are they at, their employees, their square footage, and their cost. They just want a dashboard to see their current picture of all of the properties they're leasing. So how do we do that? First thing, typically, that you want to do for a project like that is do a quick dashboard discovery session. This is typically the first step in a project where you work with the team to brainstorm, identify the vision, goals, scope, audience, and a few other things to help create a successful outcome and really align everyone. So people do this differently. I think that's wonderful, but the way I do it, at least for a few of our clients, is I start out with this template I created in Miro. It's really just one of their tables, and I've colored it based on those key items that we want to hit on when building a dashboard. And what I'll typically do is before our meeting, I'll go ahead and set this up in a Miro board with this table and have these questions typed out. Sometimes I'll fill out these sticky notes to the best of my knowledge, but a lot of times I'll leave it blank because I want it to be interactive with the people I'm working with, our clients. And so when the meeting starts, whether on Teams or Zoom, I'll send the link to this Miro and people can jump in and they can add stickies themselves. But most of the time it's me and a few other analysts walking through and taking notes as they go. So typically what happens is we go through like, who is your target audience? For this particular project, it might be company leadership, operations managers, risk officers. What will your audience be using this dashboard for? What are the questions your audience is trying to answer with this data? And so just as I listen to their feedback and try to have that dialogue, I'll take notes with the Miro sticky notes. It's really handy. Any key metrics that we know need to be present in that dashboard, we got to get the data for. Key features, maybe you just want to have. What I hear a lot is, we want to download it as a PDF or download data. Got to always make sure you have that in there. Love to hear that. And then sometimes we'll hit in what is your desired customer journey, especially if we're going to be starting macro when we do need to get to that row level data that they want to download. That helps understand the story flow that we need to create. Another way that this is from a recent project. They already had a dashboard, but they hired us to help refine it and make it faster and provide better metrics. And so I built this template in Miro to say, okay, at our first client meeting, it's like, we want this walkthrough to be where we hear your voice. So let's break it out into two categories. First, let's think blank canvas. Say you didn't have this dashboard. What's the why? What questions are you trying to answer? What are you searching for? And what are your wishes? If you could have anything under the sun, what would it be? And then we have them swap and think current dashboard. So how are you using it today? And then what do you like and what changes would you prefer? This session went back really, or this particular template went really well for the session. It was very helpful because we got to hear from so many perspectives and from different people, and it just kept things really nice and organized as you start thinking of, okay, let's make your voice come to life in a dashboard. Switching gears though, we also have used Miro to help with data modeling. This is from a real client example. I built this out using Miro's flowcharts before the meeting, but then during the meeting, we were able to add to it, take away from it, highlight things that maybe we're missing or we couldn't get yet, or maybe we need another third-party data to get information. In this particular example with portfolio, they want to bring in market data. But data modeling is the process of creating a visual representation of your data and what it needs to be. And this was actually very helpful for the conversation because it helped the data engineers see and understand what we were looking for, and it helped bridge that gap a little bit, which I know is sometimes a pain point, but it's important to really be connected on all steps of a dashboarding process. This is my favorite. I use Miro for wireframing. And if you're not familiar, wireframing is a step in the dashboard design process representing a draft, not an exact match of the final layout. And it's just a wireframe. It's not a prototype. I know there was a session earlier talking about the difference, which I thought was pretty cool. But it can be low fidelity, something like this, or it can be very high fidelity to where it's almost one for one what the dashboard is going to look like, but it's just a static representation. So this template is really just boxes and some sticky notes. It's something that our founder, Nelson Davis, created, and we're working on getting it as a part of the Miro template so people can just easily download it if they want to start from here. But again, we'll have a client meeting after we've heard feedback. Maybe I've already put this together a little bit, or maybe we are starting fresh, but we can use Miro to go in and say, okay, we know for maybe some KPIs, we want number of leases. Or maybe we want, our first question, we want to see a map of locations. Just different things like that. Very low fidelity of just trying to map out what the end user is looking for. Some other really cool things that Miro has is what's called their chart app. And when you're just wireframing and you don't want to use InDesign or Illustrator or even Figma to just give a visual representation of something, it's very handy. So you can click and add their charts app. It'll bring, like for this example, just a pie. You can click in here, and maybe we want to break out leases by occupancy. So we want to see our vacant leases, if I could spell. Maybe we have 20% vacant, 80% occupied. You can quickly enter that in, and you've got a pretty, maybe not the colors you want, but a really quick and easy pie chart to help with your wireframing. They have all kinds. It's pretty nice. Some other handy tools I've discovered is their wireframe library. I'm pretty sure this was intended for website design, but a lot of their wireframes look very similar to some of Tableau's filters and dropdowns. So for this example, I click drop down and maybe they want to filter by country. It actually looks very, very similar. So I've used these a lot. Instead of having to draw this box, add that, add text, it's just a drag and drop. It's super easy. And then finally, sometimes when I can't find a certain chart, like there wasn't a line chart in Miro, if I don't want to draw it with a pen, you can just come in here and use the icon finder, type in line, and you can look for different line charts or whatever you're looking for to add to your rough draft of your wireframe. Pull this back up. So you could end up with something like this. All I have here, this is probably a medium fidelity wireframe where I've got two boxes, We've got our title, a couple of those wireframe filters, icons to create KPIs, and the 2 charts looking at leases by status, top 5 countries. And maybe we want to add that map that we mentioned earlier. You could type in something like Tableau map, so a user can really get to see or get the experience of what it's going to look like. Click that and it'll drag and drop an example from Google. And just add that to your wireframe. Something also really cool, maybe you're designing for mobile. What you can do is go ahead and design it with the elements that you care about, and then wrap a phone frame around it. So by default, I usually use the 16:9. I just think that's one of my favorite ratios to use, is the PowerPoint ratio. But if you have the phone selected, you can click this show device option and it'll draw a phone around it for you. We showed this to a couple clients and it was just like, wow, it for some reason just helped them see what reality could be. It helped with adoption and just to generate excitement and buy-in for the dashboard we were building. Also give a real world example of a pretty high fidelity wireframe. So I've stripped client information, but the goal started out with this. I had one of our partners sent us just a drawing of what she was wanting, what she was thinking. We had a session where we talked through it, but then I went ahead in Miro and built it all out. This is no Figma. This is not PowerPoint. This is just some boxes, text, and different elements in Miro. So I've got some lines I've drawn. These are boxes on top of each other. I will say, or this is the like I added just icons. I didn't draw all of these. I just searched for donut chart in the icon and then colored them a little bit, and then added those drop downs at the top to give it the look and feel of what my dashboard would look like in the end. And this was super helpful. I don't think you always need to go this hard maybe for a wireframe, but for this particular client, it was very helpful because we didn't want to spend time gathering the data or building this all in Tableau if it wasn't a data point they even wanted. So this was very helpful for those conversations. And I'll say Miro, at least right now, is good for simple wireframes like this. If you want to do any freeform shapes or the gradient color, anything like that, it can fade color, but Figma and other tools are more powerful for that. Switching gears a little bit. So I also use Miro for feedback. We had that wireframe before. Sometimes we'll do this in a meeting, or to save time and not to set up a meeting, we'll just send the Miro link to clients and they can come in here and add sticky notes to say, actually, yeah, let's include a region filter. Let's add this, change that. Adding any other notes that might be helpful for us to know. You can add comments to say, we need to make this company colors. You can tag their marketing person or someone else and then ask them for a color palette. There's just a lot of flexibility here. I take it a step further, and this is really helpful for me. What I was saying earlier with just managing where I'm at with the project and what I have to do next. I color code my sticky notes. And so any yellow one is just a note, an action item. And then blue is just something that you can't really action on. It's the next step, like this deadline. And then as I'm building in Tableau, I'll color and say, it's green, I finished that, added the logo already, or this isn't applicable, just kidding, we don't want that region filter. Or maybe I'm struggling to build this top 10 view, and so I'm only in progress. It's not only helpful for me, but it's good when we're working on a team, because doing this has been very helpful when, say, I'm out sick one day or I'm actually even on vacation. I can just hand this board to one of my coworkers and they're like, okay, cool, know where this is at. I know where your file is. I know how to move forward. And we never even had to have a meeting to hand off. Saves a lot of time. I'll hit on this quickly. They also have a Kanban board template. They have a ton of stuff for project management and traditional like meetings and things. But if you do want to keep up with your action plan that way, they have that ability too. So I'm going to just stick in this little LOO here because we're going to go from version 2 of the wireframe to the final version. And it can look like this example of just drawing the owl as step 2, but they're actually for this particular example, there were a lot of in-betweens. There are normally a lot of in-betweens. It could be version 5, it could be version 100, it just depends. But this is what your final dashboard could look like. And we'll use Miro to do documentation. So here we just have a link to that dashboard. And they're working on embedding Tableau, and I cannot wait for that. That's going to help. But we also can say, like, look, here's your final dashboard. Here's the link to it. Oh, wait, let's remember why we did this in the first place. Let's go. This will link to the part of your Miro board that talks about your scope and your goals that we hit first, and the dashboard discovery. Maybe you wanted to say, like, wait, where did the data come from? That could take you back to your data model. You can add cards to say, you know, to include specific data definitions or point out to Jira, Confluence, different things, depending on what you use. And we actually, I hadn't planned to pull this up, but what's really cool is once you publish your dashboard, you can also embed Miro into Tableau. So you just use the web object tool and you can copy the link to the board and embed it in here in Tableau's web object. And then you have the ability to move around and see and interact with your Miro board. So you have all of the documentation, how you got here from beginning to end, all in one beautiful wrapped up package. So that's all I have. I feel like I went fast, but let me know thoughts if you have any questions. This is a QR code to a blog post form of this presentation if you'd rather read through. But thank you guys for letting me share. This was fun.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. You're, dare I say, a Miro and Tableau or Tableau and Miro rock star. Like,
thank you.
really, really great. We have a couple of questions. The first one is from Katie Kilroy. Katie, you're still here and rocking it. Awesome. If you, Jade, if you use Figma, what would you say are the key differences between Miro and Figma? And or what would you do, I'm sorry, what do you see as the pros of Miro compared with Figma?
So I have used both, and I like both for different reasons. I do think there's a lot of overlap, but if you need to design custom icons, like some of the beautiful things Lindsay Bettendahl does, she used Figma for that, because then you don't have copyright, information and things. Use it for custom shapes, use it for a gradient view, anything super sophisticated that you want to design, use Figma. But if you're just having to create a business dashboard that doesn't need all that flair, I like Miro because it's fast. You can just start like by drawing a square for your dashboard. Maybe we make that a white background, and you can just start adding to it from there. Maybe that's your KPI bar. We make it a little bit like darker gray. It's just easy to drag and drop. And as I was saying before, like if you don't want to use the like how you have to create a circle and edit the axis and drag it around, and you just need a donut chart, you can come in here to the icon finder, say donut chart, and you're able to get a pretty quick example of what that could look like and kind of wireframe from there. So I like it for wireframing, but designing and being very specific, I would definitely use Figma.
Cool, thank you for that. Another question, does this require an enterprise license?
No, so there is a free version of Miro, and it has all the same capabilities to my knowledge. And I think the main difference is how many projects you can have, how many boards you can have. I am spoiled, Analytic Vision, we have enterprise, and so we have like each of our clients has a folder with our boards. But I think similar to Figma, it limits you not on capabilities, but on how much content.
Gotcha. I have a question in case anybody else is thinking of their question. And this could be because I'm a Miro newbie, but one of the challenges I have is getting lost in Miro because it's just this like ever expanding canvas. Yes. So like I was on Miro earlier today with a coworker, and he's like, he was showing me the part of Miro he was on. And I'm like, wait, I'm not there yet. And I have to zoom out to like 3% and then try to find, but then it's super small and then try to like then zoom back in. That's a super specific question, but how do you handle the ever expanding canvas and how to anchor people to different parts of Miro?
So a couple of ideas and just tips or tricks you could try. But I know sometimes like with some of my coworkers, their Miro boards look very different. I'm very much like, I'm like, if it was equivalent of, are you a float? Are you a tile? I'm team tile. Like we got to keep it organized. So I create frames and I have my frames titled and they kind of link, they go in order as you would read, but not everyone's like that. It could be chaotic. So it's zooming in and out, like you're saying, and I think it can give you whiplash. So sometimes I'll like, especially if I haven't looked at a particular board in a while, I use this search feature and maybe I want to go and see like, where was our discovery session? This is huge. Well, I can't spell. God, y'all, this is bad. Anyway, so if that search will help you find where that is in your board, and then it can take you to different places. So that's helpful. Another thing that you can do is when more people are here, you can right click this and say, bring everyone to me. So if like you just send someone a link and they're automatically lost, it's like, nope, all right, bring everyone here. We're focusing on this page. Or instead of sending someone the entire board link and you only want them to focus on a specific part, you can right click and say copy link. And this is going to copy that particular frame or item link and send someone straight there instead. So
oh my gosh, that was so helpful. And also I noticed you have your frames. Like I just thought that was like, I don't know what I thought that was, like a presentation maybe, but I see it looks like you have frames on the side here. So people could people navigate to that, or is that only available in presenter view?
So every time you add a frame, it gets added here. You can see I have a random untitled one here, wherever that goes. So as you build them, they're here and you can always reorder them. By default, they're hidden. So you can choose to use them or not. But if you do have a story like this, like I'm using Miro to present, I like to open it up and kind of walk through it this way. There is just presenter mode too. If you don't want to show that, I was doing more interacting, but if you truly just have a presentation like you would a PowerPoint, you can present and share that way too. But they're making some changes. They have a beta version that's a little more robust, but this is what we got for now.
This is so helpful. Oh my gosh, I love it because
awesome. It's helped me stay organized. And I think elevated at least how I do dashboarding with consulting, keeping everybody on the same page and delivering with excellence and finishing the legacy in mind. So it's fun stuff.
this is so good. I'm excited now about Miro, whereas before I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But now I'm
intimidating. A blank canvas is intimidating.
Like I'm about to go on holiday break, and now I'm like, well, dang, man.
Well, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you guys for having me. I feel like I've talked way too long.
Jade, that was awesome. I love that. That was really cool.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. You bet.